Greetings, explorers of the shadows and seekers of hidden truth. You are now entering the portal of the unknown, where echoes of the past resonate in the present, and forgotten secrets challenge our understanding of the future. Here, every mystery unfolds before our eyes like a veil being torn apart, revealing truths concealed between the lines of history. In this space, nothing is as it seems, and what was condemned to oblivion resurfaces to challenge the certainties imposed upon us. After all, how prepared are we to face what has always been before us, but which we were taught to ignore? Today, we delve into a theme that has haunted humanity for millennia: the final judgment. But this is not merely a concept of destruction and terror, as it has so often been portrayed. More than just the end of an era, could it signify the rebirth of a new consciousness? Instead of simply accepting apocalyptic visions filled with fire and brimstone, we will explore a perspective that is often overlooked: the inner transformation. Could the true final judgment be an event not only external, but also an awakening within each human being? A profound revelation, an inner apocalypse that forever changes the way we see ourselves and the universe. To understand this idea, we must turn to ancient texts that have been marginalized throughout history, pushed into obscurity or hidden from the masses. The Gospel of Thomas and the Apocalypse of Abraham are two writings that offer a surprising perspective on the end of times, challenging the traditional notion of a physical catastrophe and bringing forth a much more enigmatic concept: the revolution of the soul. While many await celestial signs, trumpets, and divine judgments, these texts suggest that the true apocalypse does not unfold in the external world, but within those who are ready to awaken. But why have these interpretations been ignored? Could it be because they place humanity's fate not in the hands of an unquestionable divine judgment, but in the individual responsibility of each being? The fear of destruction has always been a powerful tool of control. But what if the true purpose of the final judgment is not to punish, but to transform? If the apocalypse is not an event that happens outside but within, then humanity holds the power to shape its own destiny. But how does this process take place? And what are the signs that it has already begun? Prepare yourself, for as we move forward, we will uncover that the final judgment may be far more than we ever imagined. It may be the ultimate awakening, the revelation that has always been hidden, waiting for those who dare to see beyond the veil of illusion. In the Gospel of Thomas, we find a haunting declaration: "If you bring forth what is within you, what you bring forth will save you. If you do not bring forth what is within you, what you do not bring forth will destroy you." These words echo like an ancient riddle, a timeless invitation to introspection. What does it truly mean to bring forth what lies within us? Could this be the real judgment, a relentless confrontation between our hidden selves and awakened consciousness? Contrary to the conventional view of the final judgment as an event imposed by an external force, this passage suggests that the true apocalypse unfolds within each individual. It is not merely a divine decree, but a direct reflection of what we harbor inside. Every thought, every choice, every shadow we neglect becomes a building block of this judgment, determining our liberation or our downfall. The purifying fire mentioned so often in apocalyptic scriptures can be understood not as a flame of destruction, but as a process of purification, a call to spiritual awakening. Just as gold must pass through fire to be refined, the human soul, in the face of the final judgment, must confront its impurities to be reborn into a new understanding. This fire does not burn the body, but consumes illusions, the lies we tell ourselves, the attachments that bind us to a limited existence. Is this the true second death referenced in Scripture, the annihilation of the ego, the dissolution of the illusory identity that blinds us from the truth? If the final judgment is a mirror, the real question is not when it will arrive, but whether we are prepared to look inward and face what we find. Many spiritual traditions describe this moment as a threshold between unconsciousness and enlightenment. In Kabbalah, this concept is known as the journey through the soul's desert, a period of intense purification and inner confrontation. In Buddhism, the inner fire is seen as an agent of transformation, burning away ignorance and revealing the true nature of being. Even in Gnostic texts, we find the notion that the final judgment occurs when the soul confronts its true reflection and must choose between truth and self-deception. But what becomes of those who refuse this calling? If, as the Gospel of Thomas suggests, what is within us can either save or destroy us, then the true apocalypse may be an internal collapse, a spiritual decay for those who persist in the darkness. Fear, pride, the refusal to confront one's own shadow, all become an unbearable burden, an invisible prison that condemns the soul to a state of internal torment. Could this be the real hell? Not a physical place of eternal flames, but a state of being where the soul is consumed by what it refused to transform. From this perspective, the final judgment is neither a distant event nor an external threat imposed by a vengeful deity. It is unfolding now, within each of us. With every choice we make, with every truth we accept or reject, we are moving toward light or destruction. But are we ready for this revelation? And more importantly, are we willing to accept the weight of responsibility for our own destiny? The Apocalypse of Abraham reinforces this idea by describing a judgment that reveals what is hidden in the hearts of men. In this apocalyptic text, the final judgment is not a spectacle of destruction imposed by a superior entity in an arbitrary manner, but an inevitable process in which each human being is confronted with the weight of their own actions. In his vision, Abraham witnesses souls being separated, not by earthly privileges or empty beliefs, but by the authentic reflection of their choices. The criterion is not imposed from the outside, but emerges from within in each individual. What we carry inside us is what defines our destiny. This image directly resonates with the words of Jesus recorded in the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 12, verse 36. I tell you, on the day of judgment, people will give account for every careless word they speak. Here we see a fundamental principle that is often overlooked. Every thought, every word, and every action contribute to the spiritual reality we are constructing for ourselves. It is not just about grand acts of kindness or malice, but also about the small daily choices that accumulate an invisible weight, shaping the fate of our souls. If even careless words carry such weight, then what about hidden intentions, repressed desires, and unspoken truths that we harbor within? The Apocalypse of Abraham presents a crucial detail. At the moment of judgment, there is no room for masks or excuses. Before the absolute truth, everything that was concealed will be exposed, and each being will be forced to face what they have truly become throughout their existence. This concept aligns with descriptions from Gnostic texts, which speak of the moment when the soul, upon leaving the material world, is confronted by spiritual guardians who test its true knowledge and inner purity. There is no possible deception because the judgment is not imposed but self-evident. The soul judges itself by what it is, for nothing can remain hidden before the light of truth. But what does this mean for us in the present? If the final judgment is the revelation of what we already carry within us, then it is not a distant event, but a reality in constant construction. Every decision, every nurtured thought, and every fed emotion contributes to this inevitable moment. Are we preparing ourselves for this confrontation? Or are we sinking into illusions, believing we can escape the consequences of what we cultivate internally? This concept also leads us to reflect on the significance of the soul's weight. In various esoteric traditions, we find the symbolism of the weighing of the heart, as in ancient Egypt, where the goddess Ma'at placed the heart of the deceased on a scale against the feather of truth. If the heart was light, the soul could move forward. If it was heavy, it was doomed to destruction. This does not signify an arbitrary punishment, but a reflection of what the soul itself accumulated throughout life. Similarly, in the Apocalypse of Abraham, we see this separation occurring, not due to an external choice, but because the weight of people's actions and intentions determines their fate. If we think about this more deeply, we realize that the true final judgment may already be happening within each of us. At every moment, we are moving either closer to or further from this inevitable truth. But are we paying attention to the signs? Do we understand that our own essence will be the tribunal where we are judged? These are questions that cannot be ignored because the time to decide what kind of judgment we will face may be running out. If the final judgment is more than just an external and catastrophic event, but a reflection of our own consciousness, what does that mean for us? The answer is both unsettling and liberating. It means that the final destiny of our souls is not sealed by uncontrollable forces, but shaped moment by moment by our own actions, intentions, and choices. We are not just passive spectators of an inevitable outcome. We are the architects of our own judgment. The concept of an external, sudden apocalypse gives us the illusion that time is still on our side, that we can wait for grand signs before worrying about our spiritual journey. But what if the true apocalypse is silent? What if it is already happening within each of us? Transformation does not begin at the end, but in the now. This is the revelation many fear to accept. With every thought nurtured in our minds, with every decision made, whether conscious or unconscious, we are shaping our eternity. We are constantly being invited to awaken, but how many of us truly heed that call? Judgment Day is not just a distant, singular moment in time, but an ongoing process, a harvest that begins the moment we plant the seed of our own consciousness. And if that harvest has already begun, are we prepared to reap what we have sown? Many spiritual traditions speak of this hidden truth. In Hinduism, the concept of karma teaches us that every action generates inevitable consequences, not as divine punishment, but because the universe responds in accordance with the frequency of what we emit. In Sufism, the purification of the soul is seen as an essential process to reach ultimate truth. For one who remains trapped in the illusions of the world can never pass through the gates of enlightenment. In Gnosticism, the idea of inner knowledge as the key to liberation resonates with this same premise. There is no external savior who can redeem us if we are not willing to face and transform our own darkness. But what about those who ignore this process? Those who live as if there is infinite time, postponing their spiritual decisions to a tomorrow that may never come. For these souls, the true final judgment may be a devastating shock. Imagine waking up one day and realizing that everything you believe to be secure and permanent is nothing but an illusion. That the foundations on which you built your life were fragile and unstable. This would be a much more terrifying apocalypse than any external destruction, for there is nowhere to run when the confrontation happens within the mind, within the soul itself. The question that remains is, how can we prepare? How can we ensure that when the veil is torn and everything is revealed, we are ready to face what we will see? The answer is not found in dogmas, in empty rituals, or in passively waiting for miraculous salvation. The answer lies in each choice made in the present. Every moment, we have the power to align with the truth or to sink even deeper into illusion. The final judgment is not a singular distant event, but a daily construction. And the big question left for us is, are we aware of this, or do we continue living as if judgment will never arrive? This reflection leads us to the inevitable question: are we truly prepared to face ourselves? The invitation for the final judgment, when viewed as an internal and personal process, demands a level of honesty with ourselves that few are willing to confront. Are we really ready to look into the eyes of our own soul without the masks we've created over the years? In a world where mirrors only reflect the physical and where the narratives we build about ourselves often serve as shields against vulnerability, the task of confronting our essence can be unsettling. But do we really have any other choice? What happens when we reach the moment where there are no more disguises, where we can no longer escape the truths we've so carefully tried to bury? The Book of Revelation, chapter 20, verse 12, describes a scene of both terrifying and revealing power. I saw the dead, both great and small, standing before the throne, and books were opened, and another book was opened, which is the Book of Life. This moment of the opening of the books evokes an impressive image, a review of everything that has been done, said, and lived. Not just a transcription of actions and words, but a complete unveiling of what is hidden in the heart of each human being. What is written in these books? Are they divine records detailing the actions we take under the supervision of a higher power? Or perhaps these pages are more personal and intimate, containing the meticulous account of our individual journey, with every decision, every choice, leaving its eternal mark, not just in our life, but in what will become our soul. These books might indeed be a reflection of our own consciousness. The idea that, in the end, we will be confronted with a detailed narrative of our life, where there will be no omissions, no excuses, forces us to reflect on our daily actions. Are we aware that every thought, every word, every choice leaves an impression on our being, a mark that follows us forever? If the book of life were open today, what would it reveal? How would our past actions, the decisions not made, the regrets, and the neglected loves reflect in the pages of this divine or personal work? The simple fact that we know that, at some point, everything will be revealed should be an urgent call to begin living more authentically, more aligned with what we truly are, not what we project for others to see. This concept of the books connects with many spiritual traditions that emphasize the importance of living consciously and with intention. In Buddhism, the idea of karma emphasizes that every action generates a reaction, creating a web of causes and effects that unfold over time. With each act, we are writing our own story, and this story does not disappear with time. It remains recorded in the fabric of the universe, awaiting the moment to be read. In Christianity, the metaphor of the Book of Life also appears in several passages, suggesting that God keeps a record not only of our actions, but also of our intentions and regrets. These books would not just be passive records, but also a reflection of the dynamic and continuous nature of our spiritual journey. The final judgment, then, is not a sudden event, but the culmination of a personal story that unfolds at every moment. When these books are opened, we will be confronted not only with our failures, but also with our unrealized potential, with the opportunities we let slip by, and with the virtues we failed to develop. The question that remains is, when that moment comes, how will the reflection of our soul appear? Will we be at peace with what we see, or will we be overcome by shame and regret for not having been true to our real selves? The true preparation for the final judgment is not a matter of external expectations, but of how we are living day by day, writing our own story and unknowingly sculpting the eternity that awaits us. The end of times may be frightening for those living in deceit, but for those who seek the truth, it is an invitation to redemption. This perspective completely changes the way we understand the final judgment. If we see the end as an opportunity for transformation, rather than just an immutable sentence, we're confronted with something far deeper than the mere idea of salvation or damnation. For those who live in illusions, self-deception, or falsehoods, the end of times represents a terrifying revelation of their weaknesses, everything they avoided confronting, everything they hid in the shadows of their own psyche. It's like a wake-up call for those who prefer to deceive themselves rather than face the raw and naked truth. But for those who seek, for those already on the path of self-discovery and self-awareness, the final judgment becomes a portal, a unique opportunity for liberation and redemption. Perhaps the final judgment is not just about who will be saved or condemned, but about who will dare to transform themselves before it is too late. The real question is not whether we will be accepted or rejected, but whether we will have the courage to make the necessary changes in ourselves while there's still time. Transformation is not an easy task. It doesn't happen overnight. It requires a profound honesty with oneself, recognizing the flaws, vices, and fears that prevent us from living fully. Those who prepare for transformation before the end are not waiting for an external salvation or for a catastrophic event. They are aware that the true final judgment begins now, in the present, in every decision they make, in every moment they choose to live with more clarity, authenticity, and truth. What many don't understand is that the transformation required by the final judgment is a radical inner change. It's not about superficial transformation, appearances, or rituals, but about a true internal revolution. When Abraham sees souls being separated by the weight of their actions, it's not just about the grand acts, but about what each soul quietly cultivated throughout its life. This process of transformation is deeply personal. It requires each of us to have the courage to dismantle the parts of ourselves that remain obstructed by ignorance, ego, and illusion, the facets of us we fear to face directly. The final judgment, then, becomes a process of purification, in which those who seek the truth find the chance to renew themselves, to rebuild themselves, and to reach a new level of understanding and connection with the divine. While many see the final judgment as a moment of punitive judgment, for truth seekers, it is a reflection of the profound need for personal transformation. Those who transform before the end are, in a way, achieving a form of salvation already in life. They are breaking the chains of fear, ignorance, and going beyond the limitations imposed by the ego. This process of transformation is not easy and often painful, but it is through it that we can come closer to the universal truth, which transcends all human constructs of sin, guilt, and judgment. The invitation of the final judgment, then, is not to passively wait for a predetermined fate, but to actively act now in our lives. True salvation is not in waiting for the end of times to bring us a second chance, but in creating that chance every day by making conscious choices, seeking the truth within ourselves, and working tirelessly for our own spiritual transformation. The end of times is merely an external manifestation of what is already happening within us, a constant battle between the shadows and the light, between the ego and the soul. The real question we need to ask ourselves is, are we ready to transform, to leave behind old habits, limiting beliefs, and illusions that bind us before it's too late? If this mystery stirs something within you, continue this journey with us. The portal of the unknown is always open to those brave enough to seek the truths beyond the veil. It's not just an invitation to a simple video, but a deep journey into what many fear to face. The hidden truths, the forgotten mysteries, and the realities that challenge our limited understanding. Here, in the portal, there are no easy answers, but there is the promise of a constant quest for clarity, transformation, and self-discovery. If you feel the spark of curiosity ignited within you, if the words echo in your mind, and if the desire to know more surpasses any resistance, this is your place. Subscribe to the Portal of the Unknown so you won't miss any revelation to come. With each new video, a deeper step will be taken toward understanding what is hidden and how this knowledge can transform not just our understanding, but our very being. Leave a like to show that you're ready to uncover the unknown, and don't forget to comment with your thoughts, questions, and insights. Your participation is essential so that together we can explore these mysteries with even greater intensity. Time is always moving, and the answers we seek may be closer than we realize. But what's even more crucial is that every moment wasted is a moment we can never recover. So don't wait. The clock is ticking, and the secrets remain waiting for those who dare to seek them. Join us as we continue to explore, question, and uncover hidden secrets before time runs out. The Portal of the Unknown is your guide on this journey, and together we can reach truths that go beyond common understanding. The end times may be inevitable, but the transformation that happens within us is something that lies in our hands. Let's walk this path of discovery and awakening together before the clock finally stops.